Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Patrick. Patrick, you says you're called Ryan. I don't know why.
Oh, true.
I
Um,
don't know if you can change that on your end. Hi, Tord.
yeah,
Hi.
Are you able to change it, or if not, doesn't matter. Let's see. Um,
I
so
just
welcome,
disabled them.
everyone. Yeah. So today we're doing the stream that we were talking about doing last week. We had a difficult time coordinating a timeline between Patrick, who's in Japan, I'm in Europe, and Tord, you're in where in the U.S. are you? Just so I get it right.
North Carolina.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So it left us with a pretty narrow window to coordinate this at a good time. But I was very happy to see so many people join in last time, and very thankful for that. It seems that we have a really good community here on X, and we're also streaming on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube. And this is about, and it really helps us if you follow, like, comment, and feel free to comment in the chat. We'll get around to the questions. There's a bit of a delay, so feel free to send us anything. We have basically the agenda today is to go through the vision paper and talk about it openly, kind of talk about what it is, why we're doing it, what's important to be in it, and how, and also um, bringing in the community feedback that we have to optimize this white paper as we now, I say white paper, I mostly call it vision paper, um, as we turn the corner and launch the Pasos and everything else that comes next with El Paso Verse. So yeah, great to have you guys here. Patrick, I think many of you know, we'll get back to Patrick in a second. Since Tord is new here, Tord, would you like to say a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you got involved with this project?
Well, yes. By training, I'm a corporate attorney. I've been a partner of DLA Piper for 24 years, and the last 10 years I've been investing my own money in new technologies, basically out of Switzerland and the US. And I'm based here in the US for the time being. Uh, I have several good friends who's been involved with Ryan and Ryan's work, and I've helped out the best I could over quite a few years now. I really like what he's doing and his vision, and I found it exhilarating to be a part of it. And this is a just so everybody understands it. This discussion is an open discussion on legal matters because we have to make this work within the framework that exists. That framework will probably change over time, but we have to keep that in mind that we're trying to make this as optimal as we can under current legislation. So anything we discuss here uh, will be read, thought about, and implemented within the framework of the law. That's our job.
Very good. And Patrick, would you like to say hello and tell everyone why you're here and your role
sure.
in this?
Yeah. I think many here know me already, but I'm the founder of another crypto company also on Cardano called NMaker, and we do tokenization and minting, and we did a lot of NFTs as well, of course, in the past as well. Now still, but the NFT market I think is in a little bit of a low at the moment. And yeah, and I've always been interested in projects that are just trying to do something real and trying to do something that's there and long lasting, and also changes the narrative a little bit. And I met Ryan. I don't even know when I met Ryan, a few years ago at this point, and then decided to join and support. And yeah, that's how I'm here.
Great. Yeah, no,
Well, if I can add one thing, Ryan, while we're on, my interest in the crypto market has been enhanced after I purchased the inventory from a ruby and sapphire mine in Greenland, and so we're now operating company called The Mint, where we has made real rubies and sapphires into investable objects for everybody in the world. So you can, that was the marketing part. You can reach us at the-mint.com.
Very good. No, you come with a special understanding of the international law, and that it really applies to this in a very varied background that's very helpful to El Paso Verse. So we're happy to have you with us, and we enjoy working together. So for those that are just joining us, we're now going to discuss the vision paper a bit openly. A couple of weeks ago, El Paso Verse released a vision paper that talks, it's basically a roadmap on how this community is going to become a real live version of basically similar to Westworld without the robots and without the evil corporation. And I emphasize not having the evil corporation because that's a fictional story, obviously Westworld, but that's where also Jurassic Park essentially went wrong. And for this thing that we're building here to thrive and be everything it needs to be, we believe it needs to be in the hands of the community. We believe that it needs to be community run and controlled. And if you bring in too many commercial forces and singular investors or entities running this, it could take a different turn. And we don't plan to build a theme park here. We plan to build a thriving community that has its own economy and its own purpose that goes for a long time. So the vision paper is setting out to give the power to the community to take this, to create this and complete this vision. That's kind of how we looked at it. And when Tord and Patrick kind of suggested we go the route of a DAO, it fit perfectly with the objectives of what I wanted. So should we touch briefly on why it is a DAO? Or, I mean, I said it, maybe you can add something to this.
Yeah, maybe I can start with that. I think that, you know, a DAO, for everyone who doesn't know, first of all, it stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and it's basically like the end form, I would say, of governance for decentralized projects, because you know, what happens a lot in crypto is that there's a decentralized project, but then in the end, you know, the one who's actually making decisions about the project is still like some entity, some development company, or some person. And realistically, you know, one of the things that Satoshi, the founder of Bitcoin, did, which was probably the best thing he has done, was that he disappeared, right? So he built Bitcoin and then he just disappeared. And because of that, he's not this king over Bitcoin who is the only one who can actually make decisions happen and everyone is listening to him or so. But instead, the community has to, you know, find their own way to do that. And that is also leading to a lot of issues, actually, because Bitcoin, you know, is very stale and there's no governance for Bitcoin, and there's no way that you can actually do a vote, or you can say, okay, we, the Bitcoin holders, decide about this outcome, right? So there's no governance, and because of that, Bitcoin arguably is not changing a lot, which, you know, on the one hand is very good, because that's why it's so successful as well. You know, it's not going to change and you know it's secure. But on the other side, it cannot keep up, and it cannot change, and it cannot adapt, and it cannot have a treasury and pay people and so on. So a DAO is basically, you know, the solution to that, because a DAO is basically a decentralized governance mechanism that you can put on your project, and you can say, okay, we have a smart contract here, and people can vote in the smart contract. It's completely decentralized. You don't have to go to a central authority who counts the votes or something like that. It's all public and permissionless on the blockchain. And based on these votes, you can actually make decisions like you would do in a company, just with, or in a democracy, I would say, just in a in an on-chain way. And and maybe last point, what I also think, just a random side note, what I think is really cool actually is what Satoshi did by walking away and by basically saying, okay, you know, I'm going to leave it to the community, is very similar to what George Washington did actually back in the day, because he also said the same thing. He was like, he had the chance to become a king and the ruler of the US if he wanted to. And then instead of doing that, he just said, okay, I'm going to end it after my 2 terms and I'm going to walk away and give it to other people. And I think that's really powerful. I just drew that what do you call it, like comparison just now, because I realized, okay, here Wild West and all this stuff, so it's kind of similar.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean,
Go
I
ahead,
mean, what
Ryan.
will make this work is when it needs the community to run it. It needs the community decisions to make it work. And one example in this regard is, you know, a lot of you guys have seen me out there in the last year, kind of running around, looking at different land that could be suitable for this and bringing it to the community. I only see that kind of as an option. And ideally, once this vision paper now takes hold, and we have a brand new website launching in the next couple of weeks, which should be a great tool in navigating all this. But there will be proposals of different land that might fit the criteria of the DAO. So I'm just proposing the first one that I believe is the right fit. And I would like to see others come and say, hey, why don't we look at this land in Oregon, or this place in another part of the world, or Costa Rica, or, you know, so I think that will make it really interesting, because, you know, the three of us or the few of us can only cover so much. But if the community has the power to really make these choices, I think it's going to get very interesting. And that's on the land side, and that will apply on every level, down to how do we build, once we do choose to land, how do we build a town? What is the city layout? What is the, you know, there's all these decisions to make. And you all know that I'm very focused on the end game of making the final vision come together. But something we're going to touch on today is the interim phase. How do we get from here to, say, 3, 4 years, 5 years ahead, when we're building and constructing? We need to talk about that too, and that's part of the feedback. But you want to say a little more about the DAO rationale, Tord, before we move on?
Yeah,
What's your idea?
the DAO rationale is democracy. It's not. This is not in a DAO community. This is not Ryan's project. He was the initiator, and you all, as members of a DAO, help write the next chapter of the book. That's just a good way to sum it up. This is a fantastic opportunity to be a creative part of something brand new, and yeah, you will be a co-author. Simply a co-author.
Yeah.
So you can vote. You can come up with suggestions, so everybody can discuss them. If it's a good suggestion, it will be followed, and if it's not a good one, it will be argued against and not followed. So.
Yeah. And Patrick, you introduced some builders in the Cardano community that can help us manage or govern the DAO. Do you want to say a little bit about the introduction you made in that regard?
Yeah.
And how that
Yeah,
works?
for sure. Yeah, so I mean, Cardano is probably the chain that focuses in general the most on decentralized governance, which I think is pretty awesome, because I don't know if you know, but Cardano actually wrote its own constitution a few weeks, or actually now it's been a few months ago, and this constitution has been ratified on chain, and now we're talking about a budget for the whole chain. So Cardano is really focused on decentralized governance. And because of that, there have been many builders in Cardano that are also building DAO tooling and like governance tooling. And I think the one of the top teams there is Clarity Protocol, which is the one I introduced you to. And Clarity is basically building DAO tooling, so they are just making it easy for DAOs to be set up, and you smart contract yourself, so you can just use their tool and use their forums to create proposals and stuff like that. So I think it's really a strong team. We've been working together for a long time and are friends. And last time when I was in Japan, actually, I met with one of the guys there. We went to a Japanese island together. So we did a whole like road trip here. So we know each other quite well.
Great. No, that seemed like a perfect fit. So so that's coming. And then also, you said disappearance of the people that kind of came up with these other projects. We've also agreed that we're launching an AI agent that named Harry West, which is kind of the embodiment of is going to be the creator on the digital frontier of Paso Verse, and should do a lot for us. And and that's launching at the same time as the Paso token comes out. We'd like it to be at the same time, so we're coordinating this now. And I know Patrick again has really been on the advocating the importance of utilizing AI as we build this community. So
Yeah.
how do you see AI agents fitting into this, Patrick?
So, I think obviously I'm very deep in the AI topic right now, because I think AI agents are really interesting. Not only the crypto AI agents that we see, but like in general, I think AI agents are really changing the way the world works, and I truly believe that. And but in crypto specifically, we've seen a lot of AI agents pop up combined with a token and combined with a coin, and they are then on social media and talk to each other and talk to regular users there. And I have to say, most of these AI agents are very basic in a way, because they just have a little bit of backstory, right? They have a little bit of backstory, a little bit of personality, but are not really that different from each other. And I think that's not the best way to use those agents, because in the end, it doesn't. If there's just 1,000 AI agents that are all the same on social media, it becomes very boring and it's not very interesting. But I do think that this can be a very good way to actually tell stories and to actually, bring in a lot of lore and bring in a lot of like very specific niche, specific kind of context to the agent, and then use it as a new storytelling medium, so to say. Like, for example, how TikTok was used as a new storytelling medium in the past. Now, if you just give an agent really a long backstory and you tell him, okay, you have all this kind of stuff which is specific to you as the character, then the agent can basically interact with you all day, all the time, and just comment under your posts or like talk to each other on social media. And by doing that, it will basically introduce the story to you as a user or as a reader, I guess, in a completely new format, which has never been done before like this. And I think that's very interesting. And I think, I don't know how good it will work, if it will be amazing, if it's the, I don't know, medium of the future or not. But it's something we can try and we should try, and something that fits very well with the Paso Verse narrative. And I think, yeah, I'm very excited for it, and I can't wait to have an actual Western agent, on the timeline.
Great. I mean, I said that we're not going to have robots in the El Paso Verse. I guess this guy is going to be completely confined to the digital frontier, because he'll not be able to cross over. There's no way, because there's not going to be any cell phones or technology at all once you step in El Paso Verse. You're going to be stripped of all that. That's kind of the mind-boggling part of this once we get there. So yeah. I'm not too concerned about him infiltrating. He can maybe do some damage on the outside, but or hopefully good, So for those that are just joining us, we have a lot of people here, which is great. Feel free to send questions. Feel free to comment and help us reach new ground, because we're going to need to really bring the community around this project. I'm going to share here briefly the vision paper that we, hold on a second. I'm going to share a screen. Share window. So this is the vision paper that is currently available. We released it a few weeks ago. This is the first version that was made public. And it was actually compiled by Harry West, by the AI agent. We use AI in this process, and because there's a lot of information about the project that is being compiled, and there's going to be different documents, and we need to develop the lore of the project. There's a lot of things that'll be coming with the website, but for now, this vision paper goes into a couple different topics. It talks about the this is actually the previous version. It should say Paso here, not Pasos. But it talks about the Paso. It talks about the cinematic marketing phase and how we're going to be marketing El Paso Verse to the general public. We're doing that through major motion pictures over a 4 to 5 year period. And it talks about how we plan to tokenize the land, how we plan to acquire the land that we'll be building a Paso Verse on. And it has a roadmap for the whole project in that regard. And it has some questions, some legal sections about risk mitigation and certain definitions. It's a pretty basic document. It's about 30 pages long, and it tries to give an overview and full roadmap to how to scale this project to the whole vision. That's really the purpose of it. I encourage anyone to take a look at it, read it, pick it apart, and give us comments. We're going to be doing a new version of this now before the Paso comes out. And we have gotten some really good feedback in the community. Let's see if I can go back here and take down this. How do I quit the share? Patrick, do you know stop sharing? We'll see. Okay, there. And then we have, 1 second, bear with us. Okay, so this is an example of a feedback that we got on Discord. We have a Discord server for those that are just joining us. This is where we do a overtime section in Discord where we talk openly with the community about more specifics. We're going to jump on there for a moment after this call. Hopefully, Patrick, will you be able to join us for that, depending on how long we go, probably? And
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So this is a summary of the feedback that came in from one of our community members because it was pretty long. It was about 7 pages long, and we have some comments to this that pertains to the legal side. We're bound by certain limitations of legal. Tord, you can share more about that, but here is your legal response to this, and then I think we can talk about how we find the best solutions to it.
Well, I can say I can say a few words in general. First, we have a rule, Howitt rule, that we need to follow, and if we're not following that, we're regarded as a financial instrument, and we are then covered by a lot of legislation, which will make this very, very difficult to do. So we need to create an environment where the Paso is an internal token for the project. It is not going to be something that you can invest in and expect to make money off of. You can get a lot of benefits internally, but it's not an investment token, which is a very clear legal requirement. We can go back and look at my quick input in yellow. To sum it all up, all the proposals that's come in, at least most of it, can be done within the legal ramifications. We must navigate carefully so that we don't step outside the borders. But I think we really have a good chance of making this paper create a community and a token that will be perfect for our use. So the first proposal here, you can read it. The Paso is positioned as a loyalty token, but lacks real-world value or financial incentives. Strong early-stage utility is needed to encourage adoption before year 3 to 5. Builders and service providers need real-world incentives to accept the Paso, which really makes sense. It's hard to get people to come in and wait 5 years for the benefits to come. So my legal response is that it's absolutely possible to do as long as these enhancements focus on loyalty and uses within the defined ecosystem. We can do this without and still meet the Howitt test criteria. So I think this is doable. We just have to do it with care. Point number 2, land ownership and Paso fairness issues. The Paso funds land development, but does not grant land ownership, which is correct. Land ownership requires separate RWA token purchases, creating an imbalance. Suggested solutions: governance rights, land purchase discounts, and priority access to Paso holders. We have split some of these activities because of the Howie rule. So some of these benefits will be dealt with outside this universe. But the Paso token will give governance rights, land purchase discounts as possible, and priority access for Paso holders to many benefits within the community. So I think it's possible to do this during the initial and medium phase, and obviously also during when we have built the community and the physical community.
I would like to comment here is that the future RWA transaction is basically to acquire the land. This is where we obtain the land to build the Paso Verse on. This is a sizable amount of land. We're talking about 90,000 acres, something like that, if we go for the full scale of the vision here. We could try to buy that land, and the land I was looking at last year that I presented to the community a few months ago was a land that was for sale. That land ended up selling to the Texas land office, which the agent that was representing the land came back to me and said, I just saved you guys $180 million. He said, because you don't no longer have to buy it, you could potentially just lease it and rent from the Texas land office, which they're usually very favorable to if you have some kind of economic activity in this area. So that's an interesting way to go. We could lease the land. My comeback would be, as long as we can get a long enough lease. We need a 50-year lease or a 99-year lease, or at least a renewable one that gives us the scope of the project that we really want. But that's an interesting way to go where we don't really likely need to do a large RWA transaction. But either way, this document is set up such that we're treating this acquisition of the land as a separate transaction to the Pasos and the VisionPaper. It's going to be a separate transaction. It's the cleanest and best way to do it because we don't know those terms yet, and also it meets the legal criteria of separations that Tord is outlining here, which is one of the reasons that we're really separating it. However, we want the early adopters, the people that hold Pasos, to have a big role in shaping how the land gets developed, and make sure they have first rights, make sure they have everything that we can give them, and that's fair and correct is what this paper needs to address. Does that make sense, Patrick and Tord?
Yeah, I think you explained it perfectly. Yeah.
Okay. So then
point 3 makes perfect sense. We need to strengthen the Paso economic model, and the main thing that we need to focus on is that the Paso should not be something that you expect to increase in value by just putting it in the bank and sitting on it. The value here is increased by participation. So the more you participate, the more active you're in the community, the more value increase you have for yourself. This is not a passive investment. This is a community for people who want to participate and be part of it and active.
Okay. Also, there's another point. Let's see, strengthening the. So another separation here is that we obviously have a lot of NFT activity and collectibles and unique collectibles that will be driving the interest, driving the access that will be highly exclusive in the years leading up to this final mission of the land. We have a lot more information on that we have not included in the vision paper because it's going to be conducted by third-party companies that are building on the Paso, that are building on the Paso Verse ecosystem. And one of those, we have a few of those companies already because we are involved in those companies. We have a Spanish company and a US company that are committed to building on the Paso and delivering exclusive collectibles and that will be used for this. Why is that separated toward, and why did we have to not include it? Why are we not including it here?
Well, it's just, again, it's the Howie rule. Selling the NFTs and the NFTs themselves have potential of increasing in value without the investors' direct participation, which is not compatible with the Howie rule. So that's why we've needed to set it outside the community as such. But obviously, it's going to benefit the community anyhow.
I think the good thing that comes out of that, and as we were working through this, is that it kind of opened up the door for others to do the same. Just like these third-party company is committed to making movies and doing these collectibles. This vision is big enough for others to come in and do the same. So it's not that our private company is going to come in and suck up all the resources and energy to do only our movies and our visions. I'd like to see multiple companies and other filmmakers and producers, and not just filmmakers, but also creators come in here and utilize the Pasos that's set aside for stimulating growth and building the community. I think that's a really cool model that we're setting up a template here that many can participate and benefit from. I kind of picture the private companies we're talking about, which that they utilize a percentage or portion of it. So that's kind of all we have capacity for as well. So just a side comment on that. We have 2-3 more points here. Do you want to briefly go through them?
Yeah, when it comes to number 4, the whole point is that we're going to make the Paso a functional asset rather than an investment vehicle. And what do we mean by a functional asset? I basically summed that up in the last point. It will give you access to benefits. It will give you access to participate. And it's not the same as a dollar bill, which has an investment value only. So again, it's a functionality issue, not an investment issue.
So the Paso is meant to give you first access, is meant to give you redeemable qualities into other exclusive collectibles access. I mean, should we summarize what the Paso is, how you can use it?
Yeah.
In initial steps, it's meant to give you access to convert it into collectibles. So you can get these NFTs. We so far have done a Genesis collection. We're doing now the motion print collection. The motion prints are the movies, basically exclusive physical film frames for the movies. And the ultimate collectible might be the director's cut, the original physical film print of the movie, which are represented as NFTs. So you'll be able to use Pasos to redeem those, and you need Pasos to redeem those. And we believe that this will drive marketing hand in hand with rising collectible desirability or desirable collectibles leading up to the opening of El Paso Verse. And when El Paso Verse opens as a Westworld-like destination, that's when the Paso will be the means of trade. That's what you need to do anything, to get a train ticket, to be able to get supplies and lumber, to stay at a hotel, everything. So it's the means of economic trade. Is that the right word? Or the means of, it's basically what you need to experience the Paso Verse. So
Yeah, like in the US, if you want to go to a store, you need to have a dollar bill. It doesn't help to have Chinese currency with you. It's not going to help you. If you're in our Western town, you have to have a Paso.
okay, 2 more points here. This was suggested by the community. This one might be difficult to do, but for the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah.
But we can address it with a different reward than rewarding with Eide. We can reward with unique collectibles.
Yeah.
And the collectibles by themselves will be so rare that hopefully that, I believe that should offset the desire here to have currency.
Like I said in yellow here, it's we need to structure it as a participation incentive rather than profits.
Okay. This I touched on, the director's cut of a digital electronic asset. Isn't that what a DEA stands for, Patrick? Or digital entertainment asset or digital electronic asset, I believe?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually don't know what I think it stands for digital encrypted assets, actually, but I'm not 100% sure right now. But it's basically tokens that give you right over media and you exclusively, and then by transferring ownership of the token, you basically sell the right over that media, like for example over a song or something. And it's quite innovative, I would say, because it hasn't really existed that you have a way to have ownership over something in the digital space, and you can actually transfer that ownership, and you're not relying on like some sort of service like, I don't know, Spotify or so, where you are just renting basically the song from the service instead of actually owning it like in a physical way, you know.
This is the book.io philosophy of
Yes, exactly.
owning your digital assets, which we truly and fully subscribe to. And so we're all for that. We're adopting the same philosophy, and which means we circumvent the need for distributors of traditional streamers that license the content. Ultimately, some of our films, or the films, are intended to end up in mainstream media and mainstream streaming platforms, and that will happen downstream. But initially, all exclusive distribution and exclusive premieres and viewings are for the community first, and that's what the Pasos give you access to. And exactly like the community member is suggesting here, that we stagger or stage this so that the initial collectible, such as the Genesis book collection, to be followed by the motion print collection and redeemable elements thereof. If you're able to stack them or have the sequential ownership from from the beginning, you should get the absolutely highest rewards. And we will keep honoring the initial book Without Mercy and the Genesis collection in that regard. So as we flesh out this section of the white paper, vision paper, we will clearly explain the benefits of owning the whole sequence of collectibles, because that's only fair that the initial adopters are the ones that are first in line. So those are kind of the comments that have been addressed so far. I'd like to talk a little bit about, because this was a pretty dry conversation until now, talking about legal and paper, and it doesn't really move the emotional needle. Can we talk just briefly of what fascinates you with this project being such a long-term project? I can maybe start with you, Patrick, how do you see this thing playing out, and how does it compare to other crypto projects?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Todd would probably disagree. It's very interesting to talk about all the legal topics. No, of course, I know it can be a bit dry. So, I got drawn to this project because of the sheer like size of it, almost like Ryan, you're not scared of naming big numbers or big ambitious goals, and I think that's really amazing, because I believe, okay, if you are doing something like this and you are dedicating your life to it, basically, which Ryan you are doing, then it should be a grand vision, and if it comes true, it will be amazing. It could really be like one of those huge things that the world has never seen before, and it could really change the way we interact with storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So that's really what drew me to it. And I also like that at this point it's very pragmatic, because it's like very ground up, right? It's very tricky to build this whole vision. It's super complicated. It will take many years, will be super expensive. But if you start pragmatically and like from the ground up, and you build a community that supports it, and you keep growing and growing, and then at some point, you can actually reach those goals. That's really what I like to see. So yeah, that's it.
Tord, you want to say something about this? Should I go first?
Absolutely. Patrick, you're wrong when it comes to the legal part. It's just that's part of what I do, and my job is to make this possible without going to prison. We need to do it legally, but that's not my vision. My vision is actually putting on my cowboy hat that I have in my cupboard here, and riding into this town and spending a week there with my family, living a totally different life than we experience in our everyday life. And seeing that as a possibility now is, inspiration enough for me.
So I think the numbers are big. It's you need certain scale to do this, but in the context of the cost of the project, just talk a little bit about that, because it's going to be about the same as the cost of one major motion picture in Hollywood. $300 million or something to that tune is usually spent on one major entertainment product.
Yeah.
Here we could create a place that is unlike anything else on the planet, that could live for 100 years. I mean, I think this could be something that really outlives technology and becomes the antithesis of everything else on the planet, that is so different and so unique that anyone that goes there, they will talk about it everywhere. I mean, the word of mouth on this is going to be incredible, and I believe the waiting list is going to be from here to forever once this thing opens. And we can only have so much capacity. I mean, this place can probably hold 20,000 people at maximum, with the land size we're talking about, with 2-3 towns. And I think it'll have a capacity of maybe 500,000 visitors per year. And it sounds big, it sounds out there, but the fact that we could, the fact that this land that we were looking at, which is a real good candidate, is something we could lease and rent for a relatively low amount of money. And if our community now just gets into building mode, and word gets out, and this gets to 10,000, 20,000 people or something like that, and the Paso takes hold, then this can all be realized through the Paso, because we have big reserves of Paso set aside, that is meant to stimulate the growth and building of these towns, and that would build a railroad, that would build the infrastructure that we need to open this. And then suddenly the path to doing this is pretty short. A major construction project like this, if you bring enough people in, and we're going to use modern equipment to build it to get up to speed, you can build this place in a few years. If you can build these whole towns and communities in 2-3 years. And during that time, we're making movies, we're shooting everything out, and we're showing the world what this is going to look like and feel like through characters and stories that you'll get to meet when you go there. You get to step into it. I mean, someone was saying, so you mean you're actually, I'm going to have a chance to sit at the same table as the guy I saw in the movie? And I said, yeah, not only that, you might meet him. He might be passing through. You should ask the bartender, have you seen Harry West? Have you seen Rico Her? And he says, yeah, he passes through here sometimes. Last time we saw, he headed north, and so you may have to go north to meet him. And that's just incredible. And, we'll be able to do that because the way we set it up, that we're using new, fresh actors, new talent. They'll get to be in the movies and introduced as major characters. And then once they finish the movie, we'll put them on contracts to live in the Paso Verse for the next year. And then they can live in there for a year and make a living through Pasos. And they can leave again and go back to their normal life. And once they're done with that, they can come back to El Paso Verse. So it's going to be a utopia of extraordinary storytelling and experiences, and it's going to be unlike anything else on the planet. And I think this is very doable, and it's meant to be a crypto project that really has a foundation of a physical representation of it that you can go to and live in. And even if none of what I spoke to speaks to you, and you're just curious from the outside and never plan to go there, I still think there's a lot to get behind here on the collectability side, and being an early adopter in this and help spreading the community. You should be able to get huge rewards by pushing this forward. And one thing that's coming out on the website now is that we have tasks to be done. So there'll be like a mission page. Find your mission within the El Paso Verse. That's basically where you go and see how you can contribute. And it'll be initially a list of filmmaking positions and then it'll get into online marketing positions. It'll get into building positions, and all these volunteering positions will reward you Pasos. So you could pick up a lot of Pasos that way. And if this works out right, the Paso will find its value among the people that hold it. They will feel what it's worth to them, and we shouldn't have any trouble getting people to be willing to work for Paso. I know for a fact we have a long list of people that are willing to do that already. So, and that was one of the feedbacks from the community here is how can you onboard people with the Paso until it has a tangible value. It goes to people believing in the vision of the project. If the vision of the project comes together and it works, then everyone that have pushed in that direction are in a good position. So I'd like to see that happen, and I think we're on the way. I'm just excited that we have come this far, that the roadmap is out there. I'll be even happier when the Paso is in circulation, because then we have the tool to really grow and build by onboarding a lot of people, and we just got to get the word out. And if I ask anyone in real life what they think about this concept, they think it's mind-boggling that we could do this, and we can. So I'll be good at communicating what this is. This is Westworld in real life, without the robots, without the evil corporation, and you'll be able to go there, and you can live there, and you can work there, and you can experience it. And
it's not going to be Disney. I'm not talking bad about Disney. Going to Disney World with your kids or your grandkids is fantastic, but this is going to be an exclusive thing where you don't have lines. It's going to be a livable experience, not a typical 6-hour visiting experience. So it's a major difference there.
Yeah, full immersion, and I believe that demand for entertainment is going in that direction, and that's what they were dabbling and talking about with the metaverse and all that. That didn't really take hold, but this is what it needs to be. This kind of immersion, this kind of feet on the ground, feeling it, feeling the wind, seeing it, being in the movie yourself, being a character yourself. I think that's the next level of entertainment that people want, not just
this is not an avatar living a different life for you. This is you living your own different life.
Last question before we jump off, and I'm really excited about how many people we have here that have tuned in. and are on the line right now. So if you're watching this, help us push the story, the word, get it out there, because that brings the power to the community, so we can do this the way it's intended. Um, what last question I have for Patrick? When El Paso Verse opens, and I'll bring the same question to you, Tord. When it opens, day one, when the hub is open, you can go there. You will get outfitted, lose your cell phone, say goodbye to the world for a while. What will you do? What would you like to do?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I would start my day very simple, and I just want to go into like a saloon and basically just sit there and drink and see like maybe a saloon fight or something like that. I think that's, yeah, I always liked that. I don't know why, but I always liked that. In Germany we grew up reading Lucky Luke. I don't know if it's even a thing in the US or even a thing in Norway.
Oh, Lucky Luke's a big thing in Norway.
Oh,
Read
okay.
every single
Okay.
one. Read it all. Faster
Yeah.
than this. Draws
Yeah.
faster than his own shadow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think I read all of them as well.
Yeah.
Actually, at this point. So, yeah. Yeah. So I was always like drawn to this. I was always, liking this. So yeah, that's what I would do, and then I don't know. Maybe I would try adventuring out there and like just exploring the area. To be honest. Yeah.
Would you go by horseback or stagecoach, or would you go with a guide?
I mean, I would love to go by horseback, but I feel like I'm not a good enough horse rider yet. But I guess I can train.
There would be a training facility at the hub before you go in. You could stay there
Mm.
for a couple of weeks training, which should give you adequate skills to be okay.
Nice.
Maybe if you have a guide. I mean, it takes time to learn how to ride, but yeah.
Yeah.
How long would you stay?
I mean, I would stay for a long time. Yeah, it depends on the period of my life that I'm in, of course. But ideally, if I don't have much work, I would stay for like multiple months and just really immerse myself.
You think you could continue your I mean, you do a lot of work with the community, and how would you deal with putting down your cell phone for so long?
That will be the tricky part. That's why I said like depends on my life, because right now today, I have to do so much work for Endmaker and all my normal businesses. But hopefully at that point, I'll be able to just turn it off for a while. So we'll see.
You could upload yourself as an AI agent before you go in. And
Maybe
tell people.
maybe we'll see if we get there in time. I don't know.
Okay, Tord.
Well, I'm the oldest guy in the group, and I grew up with Gunsmoke, Matt Dillon, and his crew. So definitely, I share your vision of riding in, going and have a good whiskey in the bar, but also sitting at the camp with a fire, cooking my own food. Out in the desert, absolutely a thing I would like to do.
Would you plan to build something and have a house, or would you do any work, or just traveling through to experience it?
Well, I think if I promised my wife not to bring my cell phone, she would want me to move there. So I'll have that incentive. No, I would probably spend few weeks there per year.
Yeah.
I have too many obligations outside that needs to be handled.
We're going to need. There's going to be a need for lawyers and legal representatives within the El Paso Verse. You could always practice and do your business inside, which is a possibility.
If I'm going to be there, I'm going to shovel muck and be
okay.
a farmhand.
Okay. Yeah. But to lawyers that are watching, that is a possibility.
Yeah.
So great. I mean, I just hope to. I would like to step onto the steam train and watch it, and get out in the town and see it full of life, and see, the printing press running and the boy running around saying extra, extra, and then someone saying, Mr. Johnson, there's a phone call for you, and I'd like to, and I'd like to see it full of life. I'd like to see theater performers sitting outside having a smoke before the next show at the local theater, and that you have an incredible choice of being able to go anywhere, to walk through old parts of it and smell the food. And but like you say, once I've seen that, I'd like to get on a horse and ride out and just camp out in nature somewhere and watch the stars and know that this kind of place on Earth exists. And then I probably after that cross the border and go into Mexico. It's that would be fun.
Sounds amazing.
Thanks to everyone for being here, joining us. It means a lot. Help us push the word of a Paso Verse by liking, commenting, reposting, and telling people that there's a chance to travel back to the 1880 and be in the Old West.
Yeah. I just see a comment here from Chris Marshall. Practicing law with laws not yet invented could be a fun challenge, and that's exactly where we're at. We're in a market that's being developed, and nothing's ready yet. So it's a very challenging environment, and I'm sure we'll have setbacks, but also new opportunities.
Something for another topic, but the mind goes to what kind of disclaimers do people have to sign before they enter this place? I imagine it being, when you go on a river rafting tour or something, you basically have to sign the waiver saying they're not responsible for you. I imagine this one to be pretty comprehensive, and it's something that you have to enter at your own will, and
yeah.
So that's something to talk about, and how law is going to be practiced in there is another one to talk about. How we're going to onboard, if it's in America, we're going to have a recruitment process of American law enforcement officers who are willing to work under these conditions, from horseback with telegraph, and and they'll bear arms, but it'll be period correct. So things like that, border patrol, so much to talk about. I'd like to, but this was an important talk. I'm wearing off topic into the part that is very exciting. But thanks to everyone. Should we jump over quickly to Discord just to check in? And I'll send you the link. And for those that can join us in Discord, it's an open forum to have a quick chat. And yeah, thanks to everyone. Great to see you.
Thank you. Great stream.
Thank you.
Discord.
Bye-bye.